Hey everyone, Andy here. Today we're tackling a serious topic that's increasingly affecting young men across the UK. Just to let you know, this video does contain descriptions of self-harm and suicide. Sextortion is destroying young men's lives at an alarming rate. What begins as innocent online flirting quickly turns into a nightmare of blackmail, shame, and in the worst cases, suicide. Today we're going to explore how these scams work, why they're so effective against young men specifically, and what we can do to protect people from falling victim. Sextortion is a form of blackmail where someone threatens to share explicit images or videos of you unless you pay them money or provide more explicit content. The scammer typically builds trust with their victim through social media or dating apps before requesting intimate photos or videos. Once they have this compromising material, the extortion begins. In the UK, reports of sextortion have increased by over 200% in the last 3 years alone. The National Crime Agency estimates that thousands of cases go unreported due to shame and embarrassment. And what's particularly alarming is that young men between 16 and 25 are the primary targets, accounting for nearly 70% of all reported cases. So why are young men so vulnerable? You might wonder why young men seem particularly susceptible to these scams. There are several key factors at play. First, there's the biological reality. Young men often act on sexual impulses without fully considering the consequences, especially when they believe they're in a private interaction with someone they're attracted to. Second, there's a social stigma. Young men in the UK, like elsewhere, are raised in a culture where discussing emotions and vulnerabilities is often discouraged. This makes them less likely to seek help when targeted. Third, there's a general lack of awareness. Despite its prevalence, sextortion isn't widely discussed in schools or homes, leaving young men unprepared to recognise the warning signs. And finally, there's the fear of judgment. Young men often worry that they'll be mocked for falling for such a scam, and that's another layer of shame that prevents reporting. The consequences of extortion go far beyond financial loss. Let me share some real stories from the UK. A 90-year-old university student from Manchester was targeted through Instagram. After sending explicit images, he was demanded to pay £800. When he couldn't pay, the scammers sent images to his university friends list. James dropped out of university due to the humiliation and developed severe anxiety and depression. A boy 17 from Glasgow who was blackmailed for £1,500 after a Snapchat exchange. He paid using savings, but the demands continued. Feeling trapped, he attempted suicide. Fortunately, he survived and eventually reported the crime with his parents' support. But most tragically, in 2023, a 20-year-old from London took his own life just hours after being targeted in a sextortion scam. His family found messages from scammers demanding £3,000 on his phone after his death. These stories highlight the devastating psychological impact that these crimes can have. It's not just about money, it's about profound humiliation, betrayal of trust, and for some, a sense that their life as they know it is now over. The UK's response to sextortion has been evolving, but challenges remain. The National Crime Agency and local police forces have established specialist units to tackle these crimes, but they face significant obstacles. Many scammers operate from overseas, particularly from West Africa and Southeast Asia, making prosecution difficult. The anonymity of the internet and cryptocurrency payments make tracking culprits challenging. Underreporting remains a massive issue, with estimates suggesting that less than 15% of victims come forward. And when cases are reported quickly, police can sometimes help prevent image distribution or trace payments, but their effectiveness largely depends on how quickly the victim reports the crime. So what can be done to protect young men from falling victim to these scams? Well, education is crucial. Schools and universities need to include sextortion awareness in their digital safety curriculum, discussing it openly rather than avoiding the topic due to its sensitive nature. Parents need to have uncomfortable but necessary conversations with their sons about online safety and the tactics scammers use. Social media platforms must take greater responsibility by implementing better detection systems for fake profiles and suspicious behaviour patterns. And we need to change the conversation around masculinity, creating spaces where young men feel comfortable discussing vulnerabilities and seeking help where needed. Just before I continue, I'd like to say that I have been a victim of one of these sextortion scams. I've never handed any money over. Don't worry about that. But I was about, 3-4 years ago now, so, a reasonable time ago, I was on a dating site and I was semi-lured in by somebody who wanted to chat on video. Now, what happened is that they put somebody else in front of the camera. They put a recorded video in front of the camera and they pretended that they wanted to have video sex with me. Now, they didn't get all that far, but they then tried the sextortion tactics. They used enough information that they got from elsewhere. They kind of matched my photo. Obviously, I'm on the internet. It kind of helps. What they didn't work out, of course, is that I'm a sex educator on the internet. I wouldn't be quite as embarrassed as some people. But it's definitely the case that they tried to get money out of me. Well, actually, they didn't try to get money out of me because I told them immediately I knew what was going on. They're trying to say, well, we're going to send this to your mum with this conversation that we've just been having via text, right? So which they thought was embarrassing enough. But of course, I knew that it wouldn't make any difference if they sent it to my mum or not. They can still try to extort me for money, whether or not they've sent that to my mum. So I just said to them, well, I'm not paying you any money. What's the point? And I have no idea if they sent it to my mum or not. She's not said anything to me. I guess they haven't. But the point is, paying the money made no difference if I had or not. They could have done it anyway. Guarantees nothing. So it goes to show that even somebody who is as aware as I am nearly fell for this. I was savvy enough to realise what was going on before it got too bad. But I can see how quite easily young men who wouldn't know, who aren't quite as savvy, can easily fall into this trap. So if you or someone you know becomes a target of sextortion, then here's what you can do. First, and most importantly, don't panic and don't pay. Once you pay, the demands typically escalate. There's no guarantee that the images won't be shared anyway. Stop all communication with the scammer immediately and don't delete any messages as they may be important evidence. Report the incident to local police and the National Crime Agency. In the UK, you can also report through the Internet Watch Foundation if you're under 18. Document everything by taking screenshots of conversations and the scammer's profile. If images have been shared or you're concerned they will be, contact social media platforms to report the issue and request content removal. And crucially, talk to someone you trust. Professional support is available through organisations like Victim Support and the Samaritans. Sextortion is a crime which thrives on silence and shame. By bringing this issue into the open, we can begin to reduce its power over victims. Remember, falling victim to these scams is not a reflection of intelligence or character. These criminals are sophisticated and prey on normal human emotions and desires. No one deserves to have their privacy violated or to be exploited in this way. To any young men watching this who may have experienced this, you are not alone. It is not your fault. And there is help available. And to parents, teachers and friends, create spaces where these conversations can happen without judgment. Thanks for watching this important topic. If you found this video helpful, please share it with someone who might benefit from this information. And remember, sometimes the bravest thing we can do is ask for help when we need it. Thanks for watching. Before I go, I'd like to say my name is Andy. You can subscribe to this channel if you want and get more information like this, and I've got a whole back catalogue of videos that you might want to look at. Also remember just to pop a like down there, like and share. That would be fantastic. Also, here are a couple of videos which YouTube seems to think you might want to watch, so maybe you want to do that, and I will see you in the next video.